Mr. D'Angelo?
Yes.
Mr. De Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
I will abstain on 16A, check numbers 080950 and 081042, and yes on all the remaining items.
Ms. Conica?
Abstain on 16A, check number 081002, and yes on all remaining items.
Mr. Salverini?
Yep.
And Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
Next, we have new business personnel. I'd like to take 17A through F. I have a motion to proceed. Alyssa Concho and Rick Silva second.
Mr. D'Angelo?
Yes.
Mr. De Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Conica?
Yes.
Mr. Salverini?
Yes.
And Ms. Barrett?
Yes. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the floor to public questions or comments. And please note that this section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes. Yes. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Debbie Lane, 43 Masonicus Road. First, I would really like to thank all the board members. I've been to many board meetings, just not in Mahwah. And I'm a retired teacher, actually, and I am so appreciative of the time that you give to make this district as great as it is. I started to compose a letter to send to you, and then I decided, you know, it's time for me to show my face around here. And I thought, if you don't mind, I'd like to read the letter to you publicly. I promise it will be brief. Mr. Salverini, I'm glad you're here. I'm
Maybe the first time I've ever heard that.
I was looking at the name, you know, looking the name and the face.
Yeah, I want to just get that now.
It's on tape, it's on the tape.
I'm so disappointed that our teachers are still working under an expired contract. These teachers are the biggest part of the district's success. Not a week goes by that I don't read or hear something positive about our schools, from sports to the arts to academics, and of course test scores, today's record impact. Kudos to Mahwah High School. I could go on, but for the sake of time, I'll leave it at that because I'm sure you get my point. As you know, because of changes in the law, the board has not funded as much of the cost of the staff's health benefits as it had several years ago. This law was a great hardship to our teachers, custodians, and nurses. They actually bring home thousands of dollars less now than they did a few years ago. Fortunately, at this time, the law allows you to negotiate with the association and hopefully give some of the money back in order to reduce the staff's contribution to the cost of their health benefits. I know that you can't talk to the general public about many of the details on the table for negotiations, and I completely understand that. So I'm not going to ask a question. But I am going to urge you to be fair during the negotiating process. Please make our teachers a top financial priority. I'm sure you agree that they give us the biggest return for our money. Thank you.
Evelyn Slockborough, 43 Thunderhead Place. I just wanted to ask about the long-range facilities plan and the capital reserve account. And I'd like to know with the new board if they are going to be updating the long-range facilities plan and giving information out to the public as to what projects are going to be on this wish list that you're gathering, because certain items cannot be covered with the capital reserve account because it has to be basically, you know, a capital project. So I'd like to know the time frame and when information will be dispensed to the public.
Great question. I'll take the second part, you'll take it first. Sound good? The second part is capital reserve projects. We reported probably a month or so ago, maybe 6 weeks, that we would be talking to the principals and asking the principals to put together some capital reserve projects, and they clearly understand the definition as does the board. And some things can fall into it and some things can't. The principals did spend a lot of thoughtful time putting together some pretty comprehensive lists for us. Kyle is in the process of working with Scott Vandermark, visiting all of the areas that the principals have noted. We're in the process of gathering information, what the cost looks like, so that on February 17th, in a meeting that Kyle has called for both of us to have with the Finance and Facility, we will talk about what Doug alluded to, which is a proposed technology initiative recommendation, because that'll fall under the budget. And then we're going to talk about those capital reserve projects and what our recommendations are moving forward, not only for what we feel we could accomplish this year as small improvements to our 6 buildings, but also what the summer will look like. That presentation will be made after it's vetted by the Finance and Facility at some point during March, which is typically when the budget presentations are made. Some are personnel, some are capital oriented. So as far as the timeline, February 17th for the Finance Committee. If they're good to go, then we will come out publicly with that list. It's important that we have committee support before we do that. So that's the second part of your question. The first part is Kyle, who knows more about that than I do.
With regard to long-range facilities plan, and you had asked about updating it, and when we're going to update it. We update it whenever we have a capital project that we want to pursue that's not currently on it. It's one of the requirements of being able to transfer money from the capital reserve to a particular project, is that that project has a state project number associated with it. In order to get a state project number, it has to be on the long-range facilities plan. As far as doing a full look of the plan, that's something right now we're limited to and can't do because the software that the state uses to maintain it is currently undergoing an overhaul at down in Trenton. We've been told that it should be updated sometime this year. Once it is updated this year, then we go in and take a look back at the global long-range facilities plan. But right now, we just focus on the individual projects. Excuse me.
Okay, from a business and a financial standpoint, it makes sense for a school district to have a 5-year long-range plan that you can let the taxpayers know about what you are projecting to do within the next 5 years, regardless of whether the software program is capable of doing it or not. Just good business sense to have a 5-year plan and let the taxpayers know what we are going to be spending our tax money on. So I personally, whether the computer program works or not, there should be a 5-year long-range plan regarding what needs to be done with the facilities, what needs to be updated, what projects you're looking at. So I kind of find that not a great excuse that the computer program
I wouldn't
is not.
suggest, Mrs. Lockbauer, that Mr. Bleeker is trying to provide you an excuse. I think that the board members sitting here for some time, far longer than I have, could tell you that they have discussed projects that are going to be occurring in the future. For example, roof projects, and when they'll be replaced. You can't do all 6 buildings at once. Boilers and how old they are. We do have an exceptional supervisor of facilities who's so aware of each of our properties to be able to let us know what's going on. I think what you're looking for is a piece of paper that clearly says what we hope to do within 5 years, but the understanding of that capital project account is you need to understand that there are things too that happen that aren't part of that list that we just need to take care of as well.
That's true, but as far as a goal and what projects, we would like to see as a district moving forward. So, for example, the capital reserve account, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for example, computers are not capital. But if we created a computer lab, the structures and fixtures in that computer lab, if it's a capital project, that would be included in the capital project.
You are correct.
Correct?
If we built a computer lab, if we ran lines, fiber lines for computers, that's all under capital reserve.
Right.
But the technology recommendation that we're looking to make, and as Doug alluded to, is not part of capital reserve.
Right.
That's correct.
So a laptop initiative is not a capital reserve.
That's correct.
But if we decided to put a science facility or a computer facility or a 3D printing facility or, some kind of technology facility, everything incorporated into that facility would be covered.
The electrical components of it, building of the walls and that kind of structure would be. Whether or not the computers, if we did a computer lab, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, just because we're building it doesn't mean that everything is inside falls under capital.
correct.
So those computers would not be included.
Okay, just wanted to confirm. Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
when we have the report in from administration on what they're hearing from the building leaders, some of that stuff will undoubtedly get slotted out on a multi-year basis. So I think it'll move in the direction that you're looking to see, Evelyn, which is, because I'm just assuming that not 100% of what comes in on these building level things
won't be
is,
doing it.
A, can be done all at once, and B, is desirable. That's a separate conversation. But I think you'll get what you're looking for in terms of at least a range of when these things can be considered. I think the project we have going on at the high school with the switchgear project is I'd have to go back and look, but I don't recall that one ever having come up from a long-range standpoint. I think we finally had an assessment in that said this thing probably needs to go, and they moved forward with the replacement of it. So just to put some context to that in terms of how it's going to get.
We're heading in that direction as a
Essentially laid out.
staff, Barry, and I concur with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Any other comments?
Sue Dorsa, President, MEA. Kyle, I just have a question. Is there a limit on how much can be in the capital reserve account, or no?
There is a limit, and it's, can't exceed whatever amount is in the long-range facilities plan.
And how much do we have in there now? How much does the board have in there now
For the capital reserve,
for the capital reserve?
just over $6 million.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. Make a motion to adjourn, please. D'Angelo and Mike Gavin, second.
Thank you, everyone.